on the last part, we move into the second round of the UA Sports Festival. Midoriya's team comprises of him, Goten, Trunks as well as Uraruka. So their strategy of Goten flying and Uraruka making everyone weightless allows the team to be extremely mobile. Meanwhile, Midoriya and Trunks are the ones capable of unleashing offense and defense, allowing them to capably defend their #1 title the entire way around. So the rest of the round goes on as usual, with Monoma actually pissing off Bakugo and then Bakugo taking back the headbands that Monoma had taken from him. Meanwhile, Midoriya's team just continues to dominate. No team could even touch them. So we end up with 4 teams in the final round, as of course we have Bakugo's team as well as Todoroki's team. Meanwhile, Shinso also makes a cut, with Shogoyami replacing Ayama in this case. So finally, we move into the next part, where Todoroki reveals his background to Midoriya. He tells Midoriya of how his father had mistreated him throughout his childhood and how his mother was drove to insanity. As usual, Bakugo is eavesdropping on this. So we move over into the third round of the UA Sports Festival. Just that 2 people are replaced by Goten and Trunks, with Trunks replacing Hatsume and Goten replacing Ayama Yuga. So now we move into the first round of the tournament, with Midoriya facing off against Shinso and unfortunately being mind controlled by Shinso once again. However, as usual, he manages to break out of Shinso's mind control due to the help of One For All. And in this version of events, Midoriya actually has a decent control over One For All, being able to utilize One For All at 5%. So the next event just occurs as usual, with Midoriya knocking out Shinso with ease and winning the round. Afterwards, Todoroki advances to the second round as well, easily immobilizing Zero in a huge ice glacier. Afterwards, as usual, Kirishima beats up Tetetsu, and Bakugo beats up Uraruka much easier than in the original canon of events, as Bakugo has been training his ass off in order to catch up to Goten and Trunks. After all, his sense of inferiority was not gonna let him stay behind them much longer. This is where things start to change drastically. 10-year leader faces off against Goten instead of main Hatsumi. And we all know how strong Goten is. So despite 10-year leader doing his best trying to outsmart and outmatch Goten, Goten could match his every kick, every blow, every attack. And with one punch, he knocks 10-year leader out with ease. Afterwards, Trunks faces off against Mina Ashido. And unlike the original canon events where Mina Ashido defeats Ayama Yuga, Mina Ashido loses in this round. And finally, we move into the first of the second rounds, aka the best fight in the entire tournament, Todoroki versus Midoriya. How will things turn out? With Midoriya having a greater control over One For All, will he be able to triumph over Todoroki? Or will Todoroki still be able to outmatch Midoriya? And will Midoriya be able to force Todoroki to use his fire side? Well, these are questions to answer today on What If Dragon Ball Super Met My Hero Academia. Let's get straight into the video. Now the match begins. Todoroki begins with a huge glacier of ice, which Midoriya barely manages to evade. Even though Midoriya has control over One For All at 5%, he's still pretty unfamiliar with One For All, and Todoroki has the benefit of being able to keep Midoriya at far range, unleashing glaciers of ice non-stop. So the start of the match is pretty much a stalemate, with Midoriya just trying to evade all the ice that Todoroki throws at him, while Todoroki continuously sends ice over and over and over again at Midoriya. Originally, Todoroki's ice was countered by Midoriya just breaking his fingers over and over and over again, utilizing One For All at 100%. However, Midoriya isn't gonna do that here. He wasn't gonna be this reckless. So Midoriya isn't actually injured in this version of events. So he actually manages to close in the gap, eventually actually managing to knock Todoroki pretty far away. Todoroki barely manages to stay in the arena, using ice to secure himself a platform. However, Todoroki knows that this was a losing fight for him. Midoriya was able to close in the gap eventually. However, he himself was running out of stamina. The frostbite from his eyesight was slowly wearing down on him. The reluctance to use his fire sight was definitely costing him this round. However, he wasn't going to give up this easily. However, Midoriya continues on the offensive, trying to push Todoroki to use his fire, continuously shouting at Todoroki, just do it. If he wanted to be a hero, there was no way he could half-heartedly do things. He had to go all out, like the rest of his classmates have been doing. It doesn't matter that Endeavor is the one that trained him. It doesn't matter what Endeavor thinks. He shouldn't let Endeavor bind him, trap him like that. And Todoroki, pushed to the brink of the arena, finally decides to awaken his fire side. Midoriya smiles at Todoroki and Todoroki smiles back. Todoroki says that he was gonna be a hero. He was gonna be a hero in his own eyes, regardless of what Endeavor thinks. And now Midoriya and Todoroki clash together. Midoriya knew that 5% 1 for all wasn't gonna be good enough here, so he decides just this once he was gonna use 1 for all at 100% as he unleashes his full power at Todoroki, while Todoroki unleashes his full power at Midoriya. The two forces clash with the entire tournament arena shaking. And Midoriya barely manages to evade Todoroki's attack. However, Todoroki takes Midoriya's attack head on, causing Todoroki to land right outside the arena. Midoriya also almost slides out the arena right after Todoroki, however manages to catch himself. Just like that, Todoroki had lost the round, unlike the original canon event where Todoroki had beaten Midoriya. Todoroki slowly walks back to the infirmary to get his injuries treated by a recovery doll. However, suddenly someone stood right in his path. This is none other than Endeavor. Endeavor caused Todoroki a disgrace. However, Todoroki simply ignores Endeavor. Endeavor shouts at Todoroki to embrace his fire side, to use his fire side and finally refine it. If not, there was no way he was gonna beat people like Midoriya. However, Todoroki states that he had to contemplate things more. Even though he had used his fire sight today, he still wasn't really open to his fire sight just yet. So this is the tournament chart. As you can see, Golden and Trunks have replaced Mei Hatsume and Aoyama Yuga. So from the tournament chart, we know that Golden faces off against Debra Shizaki next, and we know that her binds are basically no match for Golden. Meanwhile, Trunks ends up taking out Tokoyami. However, he remarks that Tokoyami is actually a pretty worthy opponent. Now, the real matches begin, with Golden faces off against Midoriya. Unfortunately for Midoriya, Golden is just too strong, so Golden ends up winning this round. Afterwards, Bakugo faces off against Trunks, and unfortunately for Bakugo, the original winner of the UA Sports Festival, Trunks ends up winning Bakugo, and Bakugo is just even more dismayed. All the training he has been putting in, all the hours and effort, and Trunks just takes him out like he was a clown. So now, the final match of the tournament is none other than Golden versus Trunks. Yep. So how will things go on from here? Will the World Tournament repeat again, where Trunks ages out Golden for the win, or will Golden finally reclaim the crown against Trunks? And in the midst of all this, we all know what's happening in the background. There's none other than the hero killer Stain making his appearance around Hosu, finally defeating and almost killing Infinium. How will things develop on from here? Well, these are questions to answer in the next part on What If Dragon Ball Super met My Hero Academia.